Good afternoon. Once again, this is Nicholas Ziada for Cook County Sheriff. Today we're going to talk about different subjects. The subject of human trafficking. Human trafficking is a crime and a public health issue. It concerns that affects individuals, families, and communities across our nation. Case of human trafficking has been reported in all 50 states, U.S. territories, and the District of Columbia. There's two types of human trafficking: labor and sex trafficking. Labor trafficking, individual compelled to work, provide service through use of force, fraud, and scare tactics. Same thing with sex trafficking. Individuals will engage in commercial sex through use of force, fraudulent, and scare tactics. Person under 18 years of age induced to perform commercial sex acts. It's a crime regardless of whether there is any force or fraud or not. Who's at risk for these type of traffickings? Individuals from all many classes, religions, cultures, ethnic groups can be targeted for human trafficking. It's a scheme, and a lot of people make a lot of money out of scheming people. The most vulnerable people for human trafficking: individuals who experience childhood abuse or neglect, children and young individuals who live in a foster home or in the juvenile system, homeless people, American Indians, Alaskans, Hawaiian Native, Pacific Islanders, survivors of violence, also vulnerable for it, LGBTQ community, they are at high risk of it, migrant workers, undocumented immigrants, and the traffickers will use that against them. That if you don't do this and work cheap for us or use you as sex slaves, we will call the immigration on you, and that will scare them, and they end up doing what these thugs want them to do. People with disabilities, people with low income, people with history of substance abuse. All these people are at risk. Now we ask, where does the trafficking start? It can happen anywhere, from illicit market to illegal industrial, like hospitalities, construction, agriculture, domestic services. Who are the traffickers, you may ask? Traffickers can be any gender or age. Some are strangers, while others can be your peers, friends, romantic partners, or family members. Is there signs to show us if somebody been experiences trafficking? Yes, there is. There is signs for trafficking. Physical health, one of the signs. Frequent treatment for sexually transmitted diseases, high number of sexual partners, multiple pregnancies and abortions, exposed to toxic chemicals, dental issues, bruises and burns on the body, self harm, weight loss, malnutrition, respiratory issues, suicide attempts, and physical and sexual abuse. There's also some behavior issues: confusion, contradicting stories, inability to focus or concentrate, unaware of current date or location or time of the day, and most of them they try to protect who hurt them because they're scared of them. Some feel the guilt and shame being abused. They usually think of suicide. They are extremely timid by other people. They are always on the defensive and aggressive. Their stress are high. PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome. They faces depression. Their environmental issues, absence from school, failing grades, sudden increase in substance abuse, change in dress, choosing the age difference and appropriate partner for them, change in friends, runaways, uh, not able to speak for themselves or share information. Sometimes they show evidence of being controlled. They wear appropriate clothing for the weather. It could be cold outside and they are wearing short sleeve shirt and walking outside, or it could be hot and they're wearing a coat. Most of them live in the workplace where they work, they live there. And some people, they are cramped in a small living spaces. There's always help for them. There's other ways to learn about trafficking. Legal definition of trafficking, the federal legal definition of is trafficking, human trafficking, describe three facts of crime: an action, a means, and a purpose. If an individual is recruited by fraudulent means for the purpose of forced labor, that individual have experienced trafficking. What I'm going to do when I'm elected, I am going to have a hotline that anybody who experienced trafficking or been trafficked to call that hotline. The hotline will be in different languages, so it could help all kind of communities and individuals. Also, the faith-based community organizations can help stop the trafficking. Churches, mosques, synagogues, temples, any faith organization could partner with us. Our mission will be to identify victims, support the survivors, and help them to become independent, uh, get them off whatever they get them hooked on, whether drugs or not. Try to help them with jobs, education, living places where they could live. There's a lot of organization. They have a well-developed programs to help long-term survivors who experience trafficking, refugees, victim of violence. We will partner with them and try to give these individuals some help. We can offer support. We could have anti-trafficking network that will help everybody. Raise awareness about national human trafficking. And that's, as I said, with our human trafficking hotline to help the victims and the community who is concerned about trafficking. There's thousands of cases of trafficking has been reported throughout the U.S. Back in '07, it was 35,000 cases. Nowadays, the cases probably more skyrocketed, especially after the pandemic and with all the migrants we see coming across the border from Mexico. Uh, the traffickers probably they prey on these people. They just want to use them and to benefit their agenda and fill their pockets with money. We need to network with our population. We need to identify the victims when we meet one. We will offer expertise on how to effectively and safely work with these who have experienced trafficking to reduce the risk of them being re-traumatized and go back to the trafficking situation. You can support the Trafficking Workforce Coalition, which coalition we're going to start after I take the office with all the faith-based communities and a lot of the good organizations that they do good work around the city and the county of ours. We will have an email and a hotline and a task force that's gonna their main job and agenda will be focusing on trafficking. I read a report that there's 800 women in Chicago alone are missing till now. Their families don't know where they at or anything about them. So we don't know whether they are killed, kidnapped, been trafficked, been used as sex slaves, or using labor, cheap labor somewhere in some house somewhere. Uh, we need to have a team that's working on solving these issues where are the 800 missing women from the city of Chicago and probably some more from the suburbs that we don't know about, and we're going to go after all that. We're going to have people enroll as trafficking victim assistance programs, and these programs will support the survivors of trafficking, including long and short-term housing, substance abuse, mental health counseling, education, job training, legal advocacy, financial counseling, and more stuff to come. If you know of any person or you are concerned or worried about somebody being trafficked, if you see any of the obvious stuff that we talked about earlier, whether they skip a school, bruised, or lack of sleep, they experience trauma in their life, contact us and we'll try to help you and help them. Anybody who will call, our office will make that a hotline that able to have somebody who could assist you as a social worker, psych worker. Everything will be confidential. You don't have to even give your name. If you suspect somebody, you will call us. All that will happen after I become your sheriff. Right now, there's some other organizations you could count on. There are some people you could call to help you. If you know anybody who has been trafficked or abused, please call somebody to help them out. And when we take over, hopefully we can have our own program that will help all Cook County residents, whether they're poor or rich, young or old. We need to help them all and put an end to human trafficking in our county, and hopefully we'll end that in the state and the whole country. Until then, be safe. Election is approaching us. Please join us in our campaign. We count on your support. We need your vote. Go out and vote. If you are not registered to vote, when you renew your driver license, or if you are on facilities of the Secretary of State, go and register. If you see some people registering people to vote, or go on the Cook County website and find out from the offices where you could go and register to vote, or on which website you could register to vote. Vote, vote, vote. Let's win that office. Let's help our citizens of Cook County. May God bless all of you. God bless our troops. God bless all our officers. And God bless the U.S. of A. Peace.